Hey number ones, welcome back to my channel. This is the Metatron speaking, and as you know, the video game Assassin's Creed Shadows, featuring Yasuke as one of the two playable characters, has been a rather controversial topic for a while now. But recently there's been a little bit of an upsurge in the number of videos and content creators that have been focused on the game, mostly because, the game is released, it can be played, and people have things to say. But I believe among all of the different videos that have been made on both sides of the equation, one of the most surprising things that have happened is the involvement of Japanese politicians, in the sense of the Prime Minister of Japan responding to some of the problems raised within the game and how it represented not only Japanese history but also specifically places of worships within the Shinto religion. There are of course a lot of articles that deal with this and videos that are approaching this, but the other night during live stream, I've actually shared with you a few points that I had and that I wanted to bring up to begin an interesting conversation and debate with you. And some of the questions and answers that I got from the community were really interesting. So I wanted to share with you the best moments and clips from this interaction between you and me, and maybe extend it to you now watching this video in the comments. So without further ado, let's jump right into it. Bromsley says, I want to hear his opinion on this. Oh, great, because I got a lot to say. There is a lot that we can talk about when it comes to the whole situation with the controversy surrounding Assassin's Creed Shadows. Now, I did put as a title the whole situation with the Prime Minister allegedly speaking about it, so that's one thing we will cover, as that's the most recent news, I believe 2 days ago, so we'll see what he had to say and whether we agree or not. But in general, we could say that there are plenty of Japanese people that are not happy with what's being represented in Assassin's Creed Shadows. Now, before I can say I agree with what this person is saying or I disagree, I have to review the claims. But I think one thing that we cannot take away from the Japanese is to have an opinion on their own damn culture and history. I think we can't take that away from anyone, right? If it's an American and someone is in a way disrespecting, now we have to qualify that word, and I will, because some people are I will. But if someone is disrespecting American history and culture, and they are saying that, I don't know, Benjamin Franklin didn't exist, or they're changing stuff, it's fine. If Americans are like, hey, I'm not okay with that, I'm not going to go and point the finger against Americans. As an Italian, you know me, I've been really adamant when it comes to, oh, you change the history of my country, I'm going to make 15 videos about it. In fact, I'm going to make 15 series about it. So I believe I'm in no position now to go and tell the Japanese, no, you have to shut up and take it. Can we? Really? Regardless of what position you may have in your political ideas or in the culture war, doesn't matter. That's your own freedom, and we can discuss a lot of things. But I think one thing we can't do is to tell the Japanese that they can't say anything. And it doesn't have to be the black samurai. That's something we can discuss. But Japanese have been making videos, several Japanese creators who were complaining about how Japan was represented, how some things looked Chinese, not Japanese. There are a lot of things that the Japanese did not like. I know it's a game, UL, but let me respond to that, because you actually bring up, by contrasting with what I'm saying, you're actually introducing one of my topics, so I appreciate that. I always appreciate people, whether you agree with me or not. But let's discuss that. It's just a game. Okay, let's talk about the shrines, the Shinto shrines. Am I a Shinto practitioner? No, I'm not. I don't believe in Shintoism in the sense that I'm not someone who practices Shinto. You know, I've already said this multiple times. I think this is public knowledge. I'm a Christian. I have lived in Japan for 4 years. I've always been extremely respectful to both Buddhism and Shinto. I've been with Japanese friends to many Shinto shrines. When we would go, what they do is that they take this water, they wash their hands because it's a form of purification, and then they go in front of these bells. Usually you got 3 bells. You put some money, you put like a coin and kind of do a little donation, and then what they do is that they pull the bell makes a sound, then they put their hands like this and they clap them 3 times, okay? That's what they do. And then they offer a prayer. And whenever I would go, I was very respectful. I respect it as a sacred place, even though to me, it's a different thing. Now, how do I connect that with the game? Well, some Japanese, a lot of Japanese, in fact, are offended by the fact that as you play with Yasuke, you can go into the shrine and destroy everything. You can annihilate everything, kill everyone in there, attack the people, attack the priest. But yeah, you can destroy the entire thing. I would be a hypocrite if I told you, well, who cares? It's just a shrine. Yeah, but would I be happy if you could do that in a video game with a Christian church? If you could destroy and cut in pieces the cross with Jesus, with the statue of Jesus, wreak havoc and destroy places that to me hold an importance. I wouldn't be happy about that. So at the same time, I will defend the Japanese if they are offended by the shrine being disrespected and being destroyed. What video games allows you to go, even including in the Assassin's Creed genre, plenty of medieval cities I don't remember, and please correct me if I'm wrong. I don't remember a single Assassin's Creed that allows you, when you are in Venice or in Florence in the Middle Ages, to destroy the churches in there. Someone is mentioning Valhalla. That's an interesting point. Although then again, if you don't allow the monastery is kind of different though than the sacred objects. But if in Valhalla they allow you to attack the monks, it's the history of actually what happened. We can pinpoint that because that's a very interesting comeback for the debate that you're bringing up. I don't know why you wrote it in all caps, but whatever. But still, I don't remember you being able to destroy mosques in Muslim countries in video games and disrespect everything they've got. And I don't remember being able to destroy synagogues. In fact, specifically in the Jewish context, in The Last of Us 2, you can't even shoot your weapon as Ellie when you enter a Jewish synagogue. So the idea of respecting something that is culturally and traditionally important to a people has always been in video games. So I wonder, I don't think there is anything wrong that the Japanese are complaining about it. Let me read your comebacks, because some of you are presenting very interesting. I'm here to discuss. I'm not here to be like, I'm going to tell you. No, I'm here to listen to your words as well. Well, or not, because Vinny says you're just wrong. Great. Thank you for that. That kind of proves that I think I may be into something right. So Vinny says, again, in the screen, he says it says it's a work of fiction. Vinny, you can't use that. Because specifically, and I'll tell you why that doesn't work in this debate, because the creator said this is a great way to learn Japanese history. They said that. They pushed the historicity of this game, and it's the first game where Yasuke is a real historical character, and there are plenty of interactions with real historical characters. But they specifically pushed. I watched it. This is not something I read. I watched the Ubisoft developers and their historians, and they said, oh yeah, Assassin's Creed is a fantastic way to learn the history and culture of Japan. So now you can't use it's a work of fiction. If they hadn't pushed that, and they did, if they hadn't pushed that, and they said, no, it's loosely based on history, but guys, it's, of course, there is a freaking going back in time. There is the sci-fi aspect of it. But they said it was a great way to learn, to actually learn. I'm going to ban Vinny, though, because he just called us grifters. No, then you're banned. You're not here to discuss then. Gone. You have to choose. You can't have both. You can't have the cake and eat it too. There's an expression like that in... Yeah, it's a good point. Ilya says, I see where you're coming from, but it's not like it's an objective. You mean to destroy the shrine. Oh yeah, sure, of course. And to be fair, the game seems to incentivize being respectful in shrines because you can pray. I haven't played it, so you'll have to confirm this and double check it. But I was told that you can pray at the shrines and gain some experience points. So in theory, if instead of destroying everything, you pray and you're respectful, you have an incentive to do that. So that's just to be fair and say they did add this. But if I could burn a statue of Christ on the cross, that would be too far. Then you could tell me, but that's subjective. I know. We are discussing the subjective opinion of the Japanese people. And that's my point. My point isn't that you cannot find an area of argumentation whereby you could say, but to me, that's not a big deal. It's absolutely, sure, maybe it's not a big deal for you, fine, buy the game, play it. But I'm saying I can understand why some, at least Japanese, but it seems like it's quite a bit, are annoyed. And I'm trying to be not hypocritical, because if I said, guys, it doesn't matter, but then it would matter to me for the Christian stuff, then I'm not being fair. It's a double standard at that point. It's a double standard. So interesting. Wavo says, and then I'll read a few on Twitch as well. Don't know if this is a hot take, but I think all of Assassin's Creed games are slop. I don't know, man. The first one I liked. I liked the first one because it was one of the first games that allowed you to do parkour. This is before Mirror's Edge time, and it's third-person parkour anyway, so it's kind of a different approach. I'm a huge fan of Mirror's Edge. I finished it on stream on my gaming channel from beginning to end, finished the whole thing. The first one was pretty good, plus the 10 plus graphically was impressive because we're talking 360 times and PlayStation 3. Assassin's Creed 2, I thought it was good. I didn't really play Black Flag. I started it, installed it, and uninstalled it. I actually liked Odyssey. I liked how Athens and Sparta, and particularly Athens, was represented. I know some people hated it because it was different from previous Assassin's Creed. So I wouldn't say all Assassin's Creeds are slop. I didn't play Valhalla though. What do you guys think of Valhalla? Ravnen asked a question that leads us to the next point. The shrine that is being destroyed, particularly one of the shrines that you can destroy, is a real shrine. It's real. It's a real place in Japan. And so these also connects to another problem that the Japanese, because we also have to understand certain reactions occur within a context. They don't just happen out of nothing. And you know about the situation with the IRL streamer phenomenon that happened in Japan and in Korea, specifically like in the wake of the likes of Johnny Somali and that horrible, horrible thing that some streamers do, that they're just nuisance. They are harassing people. They go to, I don't know why they target Japan, maybe because the Japanese are polite, because if you try that stuff in America, you'll find out, I guess. F around and find out. Japanese, very polite people. And then if you try it in Sicily, you might piss off the wrong person belonging to a certain organization which begins with an M and finishes with Afia. Maybe that's why they don't do this. And they go to Japan because they're polite and they're nice people. But a lot of streamers have been absolutely terrible, like harassing people, destroying private property, destroying public property, attacking, causing trouble just for views, right? Because unfortunately, social media platforms reward this behavior while they shouldn't. You know, I'm a massive proponent of freedom of speech, but this is kind of different. It's not freedom of speech at that point. If you attack people and harass them and then you gain a monetary reward from it from these platforms, it's a problem, and it's also counterproductive when it comes to the youth, specifically as a target audience. That's even worse. So the idea is, it seems like some Japanese officials are in the wake of the IRL streamer phenomenon. They think that this game, since it's controversial and now everybody watches it and lots of people see it, might inspire some actual damage and property damage in this real shrine that you see, because you could destroy it in the game. So they are afraid, what if some of these crazy streamers start doing this because now it's gonna get them the views. This has been raised as a problem, and I think it's a serious problem that should be considered. Absolutely, because these streamers, oh my gosh, I cannot stand this kind of people, that's the type of farming views, the ones that were calling me a grifter a second ago, or us, we could say. Why don't you go complain about those? Those are the problem, not people that are sharing their own opinions on their own platform and also trying to be fair, right? I'm here to listen to you. I'm not just here to tell you, oh, this is the... No, I do that with sources and history, but here I'm just here to listen and discuss. These are my opinions. I've had time to think about it, but if you can change my mind, because you present an excellent counter-argument, I'm more than happy to address that. It's another very good question from Twitch. It says, is it true that you may need special permission to use some locations such as the shrine in your video game? When it comes to AAA companies, I think so. We would have to actually ask an actual developer if they can explain to us how that works, but it seems like that they have had problems already before because they were using some banners that specifically belonged to a reenactment company, and they didn't ask for permissions, and they literally copy-pasted them into the game, and they got backlash for it. I don't know, there are so many problems. Like, I understand cutting corners. I never fault the artist. I never fault the 3D artist. I never fault the music designer, other than, again, the music on this game. But it's the suits that control the reins. So I don't have a problem with the person that is there writing the code. I have a problem with this sort of behavior because, yeah, in that case, maybe use them, but give them a shout out. I don't know, mention them, since you literally copy pasted. So when it comes to the shrine, since is it public property? Is it private property since it belongs to? I don't know if they need to ask for permission, but it's one of the things that has been raised as well as the problems. They're really worrying issues that a non-historian such as Thomas Lockley could be taken so seriously and his theories treated as gospel so easily. Yeah, but that one is gone. Like, his book has been debunked anyways. I myself, even though I made a video that some of you got annoyed with me, and I get it, and I said, guys, maybe let's not harass his family and let's not try to find his wife, but I did say I disagree with his book and the whole situation of Oda Nobunaga. I did say this publicly. For some reason people pretended I didn't, but yeah, no, his whole thing about the love relationship between Oda Nobunaga and Yasuke is complete, pure, utter fiction. And the whole situation whereby Oda Nobunaga called Yasuke his black angel, that doesn't exist. Like, it's not a book of history. And I think that's gone now. I don't think it's gonna sell any more books that way. I don't know, honestly. I haven't kept touch with the Thomas Lockley situation. We exchanged one email when I told him I was making a video about it, and he said, I don't know, I don't want to watch it for now. And then he said, I'll get back to you. He never did. So I don't know, I don't even know if he's alive at this point, but I think he must have left Japan. There are some things that happen in the game that are not historical. And the problem is that they didn't say this game is just only loosely based. They said this game is a great opportunity to learn the real history of Japan. If you make this statement with a historian, with a talking head that tells you that, and then a lot of the stuff that you do in the game is ahistorical, you are calling in for the people who are then going to tell you, wait, I thought this was a great way to learn the history of Japan. Now, how strictly we can approach this, matter of debate. It's still a game. It doesn't have the documentary logo. That's where I would have gone full force like I have with Cleopatra and Netflix. If you don't put documentary, I'm gonna be a little more relaxed. Okay, so this is not Metatron full force like I did in that case. This is, well, you did say that, so is it historical? And then I go and check it. That's how I'm approaching this. Okay, I try to go with degrees of, do you think the likes of Johnny Somali would be brave enough to try the rubbish in Russia? Not in Russia, not in Sicily, not in America, not in any other country that is not Japan. Not even China. It's not even a thing of Asia. Could you imagine Johnny Sonali pulling off that stuff in China? No way. He went for Japan and then that specific area of Korea for a reason, but the Koreans are not having any of it. The Koreans are not having any of it. Also dislike people calling historians woke because they do give a fair argument for Yasuke being a samurai. Yeah, I get called Yasuke. Sorry, no, I don't get called Yasuke. I retake that. But I get called. I want to show you a comment that I got recently simply because I said that whether Yasuke was a samurai or not, I side, after all the study I've done, I lean on him not being a samurai because I think it is more probable that he wasn't. With that being said, I also keep an open mind with the possibility that he may have been a retainer. He was a retainer, we know that. We know that he was carrying weapons and that was a position of honor, so I also debunk the people that say he was just a slave. No, there is no reason. At that point, you're not being fair. You're just writing out of emotions. And I keep a possibility simply because he was giving a stipend, and so I'm like, I'll leave a small window to say maybe. Unfortunately, we don't have enough data to be conclusive and categorical, and that's my position. I lean towards him not being samurai, but still having a position of honor at the court of Oda Nobunaga. I think that's the most reasonable position, particularly if you can read the sources in Japanese and you can kind of pinpoint the kanji and the way they are used for both the payment of stipend, but also for the position of someone who carries weapons, which usually was a position that was relegated for either people who were samurai or people who were going to become samurai. So aka a similar equivalent to a Western squire, which I believe the Japanese use the term koe, if I'm not wrong. I'll have to double check the term because this is kind of an older Japanese term. So yeah, no, for sure, I get called woke simply because I don't categorically state, guys, he was just a slave. No, I'm never going to say that because the data does not push the idea that he was no one. He was someone that had a certain position in Japan. Now, whether he was samurai or not, it is absolutely something we can debate, and as I say, I lean towards no. Definitely, though, even if he was given, this is one thing that I want to say in connection to Assassin's Creed, even if he was given the title of samurai. Let's say that Oda Nobunaga did that because he's like, hey, I'm using him as my bodyguard, big guy. I want to call him samurai because I like doing that. I like Western stuff, whatever. I like the Portuguese, because he's the guy who let them build churches. Even if he did that, there is no reason to believe that Yasuke would be someone who fights like a samurai in samurai armor. And that's what Assassin's Creed is representing. Now that, I don't think there is any reason to believe that whatsoever. Maybe he knew how to fight, but he wouldn't fight like a Japanese. You can see that he does the Yaido, putting in the sword also in a kind of an anachronistic way, because the way he moves kind of makes him more look like samurai arts in the period of peace rather than samurai arts in the Sengoku period, but this is a nitpick on my side. He does fight exactly like you would imagine a samurai fight, and he wears samurai armor. There's no reason to believe either of those two things, if we have to look at this while being fair about it. How much do you think racism plays a role in discussions like, was Yasuke a real samurai? Do you think both sides have a valid point? I think some people absolutely use the historical aspect of it as a shield to push an actual racist agenda, but I think they're a fragment, and I think it's also wrong on the other side when people accuse you of racism just because on the half chance there may be you saying, guys, I don't know about the historical accuracy of this, and then they're like, oh, you must be racist. But at the end of the day, I always say innocent until proven guilty. So unless someone is actually saying stuff that is real racist, but unless they are saying that, if people are saying, well, if I set an Assassin's Creed in Africa, I wouldn't want to see a white guy, I want to see an African protagonist, so Assassin's Creed is set in Japan, I think it's nice to see a Japanese. Yeah, that's not a racist statement. You can't just point the finger and say racist. At the same time, though, yeah, I would be unreasonable if I didn't admit that some people are racist. I have seen people spam the N-word under Assassin's Creed Shadows trailer. Yeah, those are racist. Echo says making fiction about another culture is fine, I think, if you show that you respect that culture and don't misuse and misrepresent them for your agenda. I agree. Do you think that a lot of outrage is fake? In AC2, for example, you were destroying Catholic churches and Pope was the main bad guy and fought him. About the Pope being the main bad guy, I think even Catholics can recognize, even fervent Catholics can recognize that some of the popes of the past were doing some stuff. I mean, there were multiple popes excommunicating each other. The figure of the Pope is a historical figure, and we can discuss it, and I think there is nothing wrong in using them in the correct, like, I wouldn't be offended as a Christian, and I was brought up Roman Catholic. Most of my family is Catholic, not all of my family is Catholic. I've got, between friends and family, if we go extended family, all sorts of types. But yeah, no, that wouldn't offend me, but anything against Christ would offend me. So it kind of depends. Good point, though. Good point. I don't know, could you destroy the churches, though? I don't know, I don't remember that, to be honest. And whether some of the outrage is fake, yes, some of the outrage is absolutely used for clickbait. The creepy archives, particularly those who have never studied Japanese history ever, and now they are becoming anthropologists all of a sudden, or linguists, speaking about kanji and stuff like that, then some of that might be fake. They didn't even bother to show any of the things we historically know happened with Yasuke. I haven't played the game, so I don't know if you're right or wrong with this, but if that's the case, then yeah, that's nonsense. They should have done it. Are the Ainu in this game? That's a very good question, LK. Does anyone know? Because I don't know how to answer that question, but if you guys know, it'd be cool. Truth leaning. Oh yeah, I'm truth-centric. 100%. Oh, yes, Titan Bro presents another one of the things that we're going to talk about. Metatron, did you hear that they made Lady Oichi a love interest of Yasuke in Assassin's Creed Shadow? Yes. So Lady Oichi is Oda Nobunaga's sister, right? And she's a real historical character. There is no reason, of course, it didn't happen, that Yasuke had, that we know of, that Yasuke had a romance relationship with her, yet you can do it in the game. Can a Japanese then say, Ubisoft is rewriting my history? I say yes. I don't think it's wrong for the Japanese to say they are rewriting my history at that point. If it was only that, maybe it's a little light, but if it's too many things, then you can complain about it. And when I say rewriting of history, do remember that, yes, history is constantly rewritten. You rewrite history when there is new evidence that tells you what you thought up to this point was wrong. That's when you rewrite history. Nothing against that. It's right. That's how you do it. If you rewrite history in the sense that you're going to tell me that Metroid, Samus from Metroid, was actually Scipio Africanus, it was her, not an actual Roman, then yeah, that's rewriting history. And of course, if you do it for political reason, for pandering, for whatever the heck, for justification, that's the type of rewriting of history that we attack on this channel mercilessly. When we go into the romance section of it, there is something else that I would like to say. I heard this, but I don't know if it's true. So at the moment, until I play it, I'm not gonna use it against the game. But talking about the relationships that you can have in this game, we were talking earlier on that as Yasuke, you can romance a real historical character who is Oda Nobunaga's sister. So I noticed someone complaining about the possibility of having a gay romance with samurai in Assassin's Creed. And the thing is that from a historical perspective, I liked the romance options that you had in Dragon Age Origins, I'll tell you that much, but I think it's really nice. At that point, romance is really nice. I kind of would leave it at that personally, but that's just me. I heard that this samurai in the game identifies as non-binary and uses preferred pronouns. Is this true or not? Because If the latter part is not true, and it's just people who hate the game are just lying about it, and the reality is that they hate the fact that they talk about gay samurai, well, they existed. It's a historical thing, so I don't have a problem with that. It existed. I'm not going to choose it. I'm not going to select that option if it's in the game, but I mean, it existed. I would just say, mention that it existed. You can show that this is okay, but I would just maintain it within the relevance of decency that I would expect from straight relationships too. And that's it, just being fair. But if they are adding non-binary and preferred pronouns, then they're out of their mind. But before I create, when people say you're creating fake, okay, no, I'm not creating. I want to ask, is it true? Japanese religion and culture and philosophy is different from the West. In a Western perspective, we have this idea, oh, well, I'm a Christian, and then you have all the or I'm an atheist, and then you have all the subcategories. Yeah, but I'm a Protestant, or I'm a Roman Catholic, or I'm a Jehovah's Witness, or I'm a Mormon, or I'm a, you have all the different Methodist, Baptist. Usually, if you're a Protestant, you can't be a Catholic, and you have that sort of situation. In Japan, you can go to both Buddhist and Shinto shrines. If you follow the Shinto tradition, it doesn't preclude you from also going to a Buddhist temple, for instance. There are doctrinal differences, absolutely. There are people that take it very seriously and they are like, no, I'm a Buddhist. But there are also people that kind of do both, and I've met a lot. They do it more as a tradition. I love it how there is already... Where are you? Where are you? I can see you right there. Where the heck did you go? 1 second. Eye of the Tiger. Oh yeah, keep milking the culture war. Yes, so original. People want to know. The world doesn't revolve around you, mate. People want to hear my opinion. If you don't, you can click away. But if people want to hear my opinion, they are here. I'm happy to deliver. I'm happy to deliver. Not to mention, I've lived in Japan. I speak the language. Yeah, I think I want to add my own. No, I haven't played Assassin's Creed Shadows. I don't own it. But no, I don't own it. Honestly, I'm not interested in supporting Ubisoft in any way, shape, or form. So they're not going to see $1 from me. If they start giving it out for free, I might play it. I've been angry at Ubisoft since Heroes of Might and Magic, so no one can tell me, oh, you're just doing this for political and cultural war reasons. No, sir. I've been pissed at Ubisoft for years and years because of Heroes of Might and Magic, so they're not getting $1 from me. Attacks are coming from both sides, and we'll review a few. I was attacked because of my videos about Yasuke. Even videos that were produced because I started speaking about Yasuke years before this, because it's a historical character that I had studied, of course. I have proof. I've got a video from 4 years ago at least. And so yeah, I didn't start speaking about it because of the culture war, but since the culture war is a thing and now everyone is an expert on Japanese anthropology, not to mention language and history, I kind of want to speak about it too then. It's one of those things, isn't it? Alright, number ones, but I hope that you enjoyed this video. It's a little bit of a different format, the idea of utilizing some clips and sections from a live stream to then produce a sort of a bigger video and also give you an easier to access collection of the best clips. But I hope you enjoyed it. And if you did, please do let me know your opinion on the matter in the comments below. Thank you very much for watching. And remember, the Metatron has spread his wings. Goodbye.